Hello and welcome to the Crowd
Control
Podcast.
I'm your moderator for today. My name is Dennis Lee.
My name is June.
My name is Kevin Jong.
And yeah, that's our panel for today, or for the foreseeable future.
Not just today, hopefully for a long time.
For a long time. That
Like in
would
our last episode, on a hover chair in the future.
yeah, for
As
the
you-
foreseeable future, that will hopefully be the members of this panel.
As everyone can tell, we've grown a little more confident in our voices,
Hopefully, that's the hope, right?
right?
From Asian boys
I mean, this is episode number.
to Asian men.
To now, we're all mature men
You
standing
have-
before you.
You have a lot of experience now. So this week's episode is, I think, pretty interesting. We have a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of
A
interesting
lot.
game impressions, gaming news.
Mhm.
What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about, obviously, the big Xbox event, XO19, which showed a lot of pretty interesting games and pretty interesting news
Mhm.
coming to Microsoft PC and Xbox. And then I guess we have to talk about this, but Google Stadia, to the surprise of many, is actually launching.
A lot of people don't know it's launching very, very soon.
Yes, as in like within 24 hours it's
Yeah,
launching.
it's possibly tomorrow.
At time of recording, it's launching within 24 hours.
It'll probably launch before we actually get this online.
That's probably true. But
So-
yeah.
It's a race against time.
So now that we've sort of given a taste of what is to come, let's get into the nitty-gritty and talk about games for now. You know, what have we been playing the past few weeks?
But yet again.
But before that, we have a new segment for this
Oh,
episode.
yes.
And probably will be a segment you'll see every week.
It's going to be a segment we're going to be coming back
Yeah.
time and time again because, you know, we're new. We're pretty new at
We're
this.
human.
Yeah.
Right.
We
We're-
make mistakes.
Although we may look perfect,
Yeah.
we're human.
Oh,
So this segment is
Yes.
called just, corrections and update, which is fairly simple.
Right.
So for corrections, last week I said the expansion was Heart and Stone of Witcher 3.
That was a rookie mistake.
It's Heart of Stone.
Oh, that of is very important.
And an update to Diablo. When we talked about Diablo 4 last week, we said that we weren't aware of the other two classes.
Because we were under the impression that we only knew about 3 classes, which was the Barbarian, the Sorceress, and the Druid
Yeah.
that we saw on the BlizzCon. But
ap-
actually,
yeah,
what's
but
it?
apparently there was a leak / rumor that happened a few months ago.
Yep.
Where he talked about everything, all the new mechanics of Diablo 4, the art style, and the classes. And so far, he's been correct with most of his leaks. And he said that the other two classes would be Amazon and Paladin.
Yep. Those are the two classes that have been really sought out for, Diablo 2.
Right.
And I think that's a very good addition to the
Yeah.
roster.
And
Really.
apparently, post-launch is the Necromancer.
Okay.
Future
Necromancer.
DLC.
But this is not a definite thing, right? Is
Yes.
it?
But it's as sure as you can get because he's been so accurate already
Right.
with his previous
other,
leaks. Right.
Okay.
So it's probably true.
We just wanted to get it out there
Yeah.
that there are possibly 5 and then a
Yeah.
future 6.
Okay, now that we got that out of the way,
Woo!
let's move on to game impressions. Who wants to open it up?
Like always.
Okay.
I always want to go first. Last week I started off by saying I've been playing what did I play?
What did you play?
Well,
What did you play?
I've been playing Odyssey, guys.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, we're
Assassin's
sorry.
Creed Odyssey. I am a big fan of Assassin's Creed. I've been playing Black Flag. Not much else. But I'm still a big fan, if you would call me so.
So you've only played Black Flags?
Right. I've watched a lot of gameplays. I'm
Mhm.
one of those people who just go on YouTube and watch other people play.
So you spoil yourself.
Right. I spoil myself, but
Oh.
I like to think that I play with them, like in soul. And then now I've had the luxury of playing Odyssey for another 20, 30 hours. So I can say I'm in the late game series now. I was in the beginning section in last episode, I'm in the latter half.
Mm.
And when I was in the beginning section, I didn't really know what the story was about because it was too big for me to grasp. But now I actually know what the story is about. And I'm just going to say this is a little spoiler alert. So for those of you who haven't played this game...
Wait. Are we getting the spoilers?
Well, in order to mention the story
Just
a
make
little
it
bit...
vague. Just like what do you like about the story rather than getting into the details of the story.
I know Snape killed Dumbledore, but you don't need to mention that to everyone.
Fine.
We need to be as spoiler-free as possible. So we can be very inclusive of all people.
So I'm gonna take that back. No
Okay.
spoilers, or at least not too much. But what the story is about is a Spartan girl who technically has her family torn apart. And I knew it was torn apart. It was just that I didn't know that was the whole objective of the game, was to put the family back together. I'm not going to tell you how it's going to come back together. I'm not going to tell you who you're going to look for. I'm not going to tell you who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. But what I'm going to tell you is that this Spartan girl goes out searching for her family, and somehow she makes it. And what I mentioned last episode was that I was looking for all these cults, like cult members that I had to get through to get legendary equipment. I finally have my first 5 set pieces. First 5 set pieces legendary equipment. And set pieces, of course, comes with a set bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And my set bonus was a fire spec. It was a fire warrior spec where I could technically burn people alive. So I've been really having fun with that. I was going from fort to fort, burning people alive. And I've never felt so powerful.
Oh, wait. So you mean you have a fiery sword?
Yes, it doesn't really make
Is
sense.
your armor on fire too?
No. The armor is not on fire. Okay. I don't know why, but my sword is on fire.
So the merchants just give you stuff. Oh, here. Just like nothing going on. Just an everyday thing.
My sword or mace is on fire because it's a legendary item. And I got a steed that only the legendary #1 mercenary can ride. So I'm the #1 mercenary. You know I mentioned there's a bounty system and there you can go to the top. I'm the top of the food chain.
When you talk about the cult system, people praise that it's like a side quest or it's like something you do on the side, right? People seem to love that part of the game.
I really love it. It's because it's been so well meticulously implemented into the main story. Because when you're playing the main story...
But it's optional.
It's not optional.
It's not optional, okay.
You should do it. I mean, technically it's optional if you want to count it that way. But it's so well implemented to the main story that it doesn't feel optional. But at the same time, you don't even know you're doing it. Because a lot of the times you're following this quest, right? And the quest is like, okay, this guy is corrupt. Go kill this guy. And then you do some like background research on this guy. And then you find out this guy was actually a cult member who was controlling this area. So you kill him, and then you get a clue to the next tier guy who's on the ladder. So of course the cult has their own hierarchy. And in that hierarchy, you try to kill the most, little guy, runt of the ladder. And then you keep going up until you get to this inner chain that controls the whole of Greek. So I just felt like, because the cult system was so well written into the story, and everything is voice acted, of course. So I just really loved listening to every single dialogue. Even all the side quests, when you talk to people, all of it is voice acted. And I love this about when I play a game, I love it when you can flirt with other people. As Cassandra, I flirted with both girls and boys.
Yeah.
I just do it. And it's really funny. Yes.
Was your fiery sword like the main asset of your pickup lines
of
for your
course,
character?
Of course. They just can't get enough. But it's funny because there was this one Amazon warrior. I'm not going to say who, but she had me get some pelts. And then I got her some pelts. And she's like, wow, don't you look sexy? And I'm like, not as sexy as you. And then we kind of hit it off.
Yeah.
But the sad part is it doesn't really show like The Witcher 3 where you kind of get on the table.
Oh, getting intimate. With
It doesn't get really intimate, but there are scenes where you do get pretty intimate. So I want you guys, when you're playing Odyssey, when you're flirting, don't be faithful to one person. Just muck about. Just go to bed with different people, and sometimes you're gonna find there are these people that you get kind of messy with.
Okay.
I like that.
So
the tip is be adventurous. That's unethical but ethical.
Right.
So
Love is
yes.
adventurous.
How is sort of the sense of progression? Does it get grindy? Does it slow down, or do you feel like it's like a constant sense of like? Do you feel good about your progression? Like, because you're pretty late into the game, right?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty late into the game. I think taken down at least half of the cult members. It is getting a bit repetitive because most of the quests fall into 3 categories: kill someone, get something, or I don't know, just talk to someone, deliver something. And it does get repetitive, and all the storylines kind of base around that aspect where you go to this new area, you meet someone, and then that person wants you to get something, and then that person wants you to kill something. So it does get into that routine, but the story more than makes up for it.
Mm.
And there is a grind.
So compared to like Black Flag, you said you played it before, right?
Black Frag?
It's-
Was that the Asian?
As an Asian podcast, I think I was
that the
playing my
Asian-
part.
Black Frag?
Yes, I was playing my part.
Okay,
It's a role play thing.
I-
Yes. Black
Please-
Flag.
please forgive me.
The Black Flag.
Black Frag. Yeah.
Compared to that, how was the combat? Is it like very repetitive compared to like a Black Flag or?
I don't know what game you're talking about, but I do think Black Flag was also
I mean, I played Black Flag, and the combat isn't that good.
the combat isn't good, but what I do like about the combat system is that you have execution. I love executions.
Right.
Executions are so cool, and because you have a variety of different weapons, you're able to execute people in different ways. For example, if you have a dagger, you're going to execute people a little differently than when you have a mace,
Mm.
right? When you have a mace, you're going to just blunt force someone down. With a dagger, you kind of go for the throat. So there are those systems where I just really love to just sneak around, kill people, and then most of the time, I mean all the time, when you hit a last opponent with your last attack, it's going to do an execution of one of many. So that's really good. I like it.
But does the story? Do you think it's very good? Like, does it catch your interest throughout the whole way, or are there like dips in the quality of the story, or?
It does catch my interest, but at the same time, there are moments where it does. I told you, it does get repetitive, but
I'm talking about like the story itself.
right. I mean, but the story is within the quest itself. So sometimes the quest does get repetitive, but when you do feel like it's getting a bit of a drag, you have so many different things you can do. For example, if you're tired of land battles, you can say, okay, whatever, I'm just going to do some contracts on naval. And then you can just go do that. Or sometimes when the story feels like it's getting a little slow, you can do something other, like go to the arena.
So the story does sort of
Sometimes it
does
slows
dip in
down a bit.
quality.
I have had that time where I didn't really want to do quests anymore, so I just went out and killed like people and merchants and citizens and mercenaries. So I wouldn't say I avoid grinding, but sometimes there was, sometimes when I got a little bit bored, but not in a bad way. I just played for like 8-9 hours straight.
Mm.
How's sort of like are you like near the end game now? Have you finished the main quest, or are you still going through the main quest?
No, I'm still going through the
okay.
main quest. I think in the base game, the max level is 50 or 60. I'm not really sure. I haven't read any guides on it because I do want to have a fresh pair of eyes. But because I've been trying to do a perfectionist, and I've been looking at the achievements, and I saw that there's a lot of achievements left and a lot of episodes left. So I'm guessing it's either a DLC or it's part of the main packet.
So still, I think last week you said you gave it a 9.8.
I don't give ratings.
Okay.
Make sure to check out the last episode, just in case.
Because I don't give ratings is because
Because technically you didn't finish the game yet.
I didn't finish the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't give out easy ratings. So please, if you want me to rate your game, let me finish the game.
Alright. Okay. So how about let's move on to Kevin. What have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing this game called Mountain Blade Warband the last few days because there has been this current hype with RTS games. I've seen like Age of Empires, like the 4 trailer. It was out like last few few days ago, and I think Warcraft 3 Reforged also came out a few days ago, and it really just made me want to go back to the medieval RTS theme genre. So I actually went back to playing Mountain Blade Warband. It's by Paradox Entertainment. I don't know if it's maybe published, but back to the game. So basically what you do is you can either opt for single player or multiplayer. But what I play right now is single player. So what you do is you create your character, The character creation screen is very special. Your character is never too handsome or it's very special.
By special, do you mean what exactly
You
do
are
you
treading
mean by
on
special?
thin ice.
Graphically, the graphical fidelity is not the greatest, but you can make the most special of characters that you could, show to the world and say, I made this. I am very artistic. Here it is. So my character's name was
Artistic.
Romulus.
Okay.
I just went, a very scummy name, Romulus. Yes, that's what I'll be.
Okay.
And then the text will come out like, this is how your story begins. So you can, there's like a certain amount of text. It's like you're either a steep nomad, a thief, etc., a steep urchin, and it'll decide the stat of your character before you actually get in the stat screen, right? So there'll be, I think, like strength, intelligence, agility, charisma, and all of these will decide the stats and perks of your character. So let's say you stack in strength, right? You can basically stack in things called like power draw, power strike, or iron flesh. So iron flesh will increase your hit points, and power strike will be increase your damage from your melee swings. Power draw being, let's say, your range attacks, or you could opt for, let's say, I think persuasion. So you could change a character's like a certain decision when you go out into the world. So after you are finished with the stats screen, you are thrown into I think a random street, and all of them are the same, except it's like a different region. So basically, this world is a medieval world called Calderia. So your character is thrown into the world Calderia in a different street in a certain region of Calderia. So mine was more like in the region of, I think, the North. So it's like more like a Viking theme.
Okay.
So what I did was looter would just come out and you had to fight 1v1 with the looter. I killed him. Next thing I know, I'm out in the world. And what I did was very boring because I played this game so many times, but I just wanted to be a very scummy guy, just loot farms, kill random mercenaries and outlaws. So what I did was I just killed a bunch of looters. So you could think of them as outlaws. They just throw stones at you and they have like these very crappy weapons. So your character has a horse and you're kind of like a bit more well armed than them. So for me it's easy, but maybe for beginners it might be a bit harder.
What is the point of the game? Is it like also quest driven, as in like there's a main quest line?
Oh yes, I didn't know I got into that. So basically it's like an open world, a medieval RPG-ish kind of game. So what you do is you control your character on an open map, and you can interact with certain small units on the map first, and then the character will show up, and they can interact with them. And it's either like there's a dialogue between you and the character, or if not, then basically what you'll do is get into battle and just fight in like a very open, not open, like a certain map on a certain terrain based on the part of the map. It's very hard to really explain because there's so many different features that I can't really just cram in.
Right. I do think most people do know Mount and Blade. From the vibe I'm getting, I haven't played it before. From the vibe I'm getting, it's kind of like Skyrim. Is it? There's quests. There's things you can do. Open world. You can go just kill people.
Yeah, but it's not open world. You know how Skyrim, there's like you can just travel the world.
Right.
But in Warband, it's such an old game. So what you just see is a small horse or your avatar going around the map.
Ah,
and then after that, you'll get into the more physical
so
world,
like the
a
map
battle
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like overworld map.
Yeah. Overall,
Okay.
yeah,
I
that's
think I
what it
understand.
is.
Okay.
And you can hire companions, and you can either be a fief of a kingdom, or you could be your own lord, which I think it's very good. It's the replayability value of the single player itself. It's so good, I think.
Is there multiplayer or?
Oh, there is. So there's a multiplayer where there's deathmatch, team deathmatch. There's also capture the flag. There's, I think, what were the other ones? Just a standard game where, battle. It's called battle. So you can think of it as more like just two big sides going against each other, and once you die, you die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So once you die, you have to wait for the rest of the team.
Yeah, for the rest of the team to either win or lose.
If I was playing in that, I'll just stay in the back.
Oh, and in that game mode, you can offer to either be like a cavalry, or infantry, or archer. It's like a range unit. And you can choose the weapons, and you have a currency in the top. So the more people you kill, the more currency you get in the end. So you can get better equipment the more rounds you survive in battle.
I think you've always opted for those medieval type games. I've seen you play a lot of those. Like,
I mean,
what is that? Mordhau?
Mordhau, yes.
Right.
Mordhau
Right,
was another game I played.
I don't play those medieval games, but I've seen you play a lot of those.
For Honor.
I mean, that's a different story.
Shogun.
I mean, Shogun
Warhammer.
isn't medieval. It's like feudal Japan,
Right.
you know.
Right.
It's a different feel to it, but anyway.
For Honor, though. What do you say about that?
For honors,
I mean, they're samurais.
I mean, I have a soft spot for Honor because I've stuck it through the hard times.
Like since launch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
it brings tears to my eyes when I think about it. I've stuck it. I've stuck through it.
So like for Mount and Blade, is it a type of game where you sort of like every time you play it, you get like addicted to it again, or is it like?
I mean, that used to happen to me,
Okay.
but now I have more control over myself. So, yes, you can get addicted to it because I say the replayability value of that game itself is so huge that you can never really get bored of it. You can just keep on playing it until like for one whole year, maybe.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
bold statement right
That is
there.
a bold
One
statement.
whole
Because I played
year.
hours and hours of that game and I never got sick of it. I just kept on playing and playing until I was waiting for the next iteration for Orban to come out, which is Bannerlord. It's supposed to come out next year. It got
Okay,
delayed
yeah.
over and over. I'm still waiting for it, basically.
So, I think you've waited long enough. What game have you played?
So, I've actually played multiple games, but I'll
That's
mainly
great.
talk about. I'll mainly talk about The Witcher 3 because I've gotten more into the expansion, Hardened One, and for the expansion, Blood and Wine. I've started getting to the side quests more rather than the main quest because like the game is surprisingly difficult. Like I'm actually having trouble fighting against monsters and enemies and bandits. And I'm actually quite surprised because I don't remember having this difficult of a time playing Witcher 3. I mean, like I've beat Sekiro, I've played and beaten Bloodborne. So I'm not. The idea of playing a hard game isn't new to me, but there's so many moments where I would face like a group of monsters, and I would just get wrecked. Like I would just like get destroyed, and then I would have to like load. And the loading times. This was so frustrating about Witcher 3. I'll just sort of air it out first. Every time you die, the loading times are like 20 seconds long, I feel like. It gets so frustrating, especially when you die multiple times. Every single time you die, I have to sit there for 20 seconds and just wait. And then just pray that I don't die again so I don't have to go through this long loading.
I mean, resurrection is a hard process.
Yeah, it does. I'm assuming.
I mean, some person
Yeah.
took 3 days.
Yeah, so those technical issues sort of bother me. But anyway, so like I think you mentioned previous week where you said you don't really use like the oils or the potions
Right.
for
I've
Witcher.
never had a use for those.
I didn't really use them a lot in the base game, but I still did use them because it did make fights faster but I feel like for this game you do have to use sort of the oils and the potions.
So it's like so hard that you have to use it.
I feel forced to use it because it's difficult. And some of them can be quite tanky, the enemies, and unless you use the oils, their health doesn't really go down as quick as you want it to.
Isn't there like a level recommendation before you get into DLC, or does it reset?
Oh, there is a level recommendation. The level recommendation is 35.
What level were you when you went?
36.
Oh,
So you were good enough
Yeah.
for the level wise.
Mhm. But that's why I thought it'd be easier, but then it's not. It's actually quite difficult. And so it's quite difficult, but I'm actually enjoying the difficulty. I like difficult games. I don't mind getting destroyed or wrecked for like a few seconds and trying to like learn and okay, now I just have to do this or do this, and you sort of like you sort of get used to the difficulty, and now you know what to do. So I'm getting used to actually using potions and oils again, and using all my like those Witcher spells like Ard and like Igni.
I've always had, in the heat of battle, I've always had trouble like getting to those spells.
But like
special moments.
yeah, but like I feel like, especially Quen, the shield spell. I feel like that's like the most useful spell.
I mean, you can technically just have it on you before you go to battle.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do.
But then if you get hit once, it disappears. So you have to like reapply
But
it.
that one hit is the difference between life or death.
Yeah, exactly. So, once I started getting used to the mechanics, it did sort of get easier. And I've been doing a lot of side quests like Witcher contracts. And when I played the base game, I stopped doing Witcher contracts because they did get kind of repetitive.
Very grinder, right?
Well, not grindy, just like it goes through the same motions every single time you do a Witcher contract. So, for example, here's what a typical Witcher contract quest is. You talk to a guy, he says, "I'm hearing noises at night," or "People are going missing, and I want you to find out what's going on." And then you say, "Okay, I'll do the job." And then you have this like negotiation part where you try to get as much gold as possible or money as possible you can from the contract. And then you go to the crime scene. So the place where the people went missing or the place where the person died. And you look at the body and you examine each part, and Geralt, the main character of the game, sorts of talks to himself and say, okay, the claw marks aren't deep and stuff like that. So it's a very typical noir detective opening. And then you sort of use your Witcher sense to like look at clues in the area, footprints, and then you just follow the footprints or the blood trail,
Or like a smell.
or like a smell.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's pretty insane.
And then you just follow it, and then you end up meeting the monster. Then you kill the monster.
Wait, can you negotiate with the monster?
Have
you tried?
I think there are certain side quests. For example, if the monster is like can reason, maybe it's a vampire or like a succubus, then there are quests where you can like spare the monster or like talk to it. But a lot of times they're just like beasts or like animal monsters who don't talk to people, and just like go and kill them. But I did get bored of it I didn't get bored of it, but I just didn't do as much because it did get quite repetitive. But going back to it for the expansion, maybe because I haven't done it in a long time, but it does feel quite fun to go through all those stuff again, because like you really feel like a Witcher, because that's what Witchers do. They investigate crime scenes, they find out what's going on, look for the monster, kill it, and there's that sense of you're making the community better because they're getting rid of these evil monsters who are killing people. And so I did quite a few Witcher contracts, but there's this one side quest that I found really interesting, which is that I finished the Witcher contract of a quarry, and their main they wanted to just make this huge statue, and it opens up this side quest where you have to help certain like sites that are making the parts for this giant statue, and the more you help them, the more you can sort of help with their progress of building this huge landmark statue in the map. And the more you do the side quests, the more you can see the statue being built. So you're actually creating this huge landmark, which I like those type of side quests. I like side quests where you can actually see an impact on like the environment. Exactly. So for example, in Breath of the Wild, there's the side quest where you have to create a town.
Do
you know that side quest?
The Humpty Dumpty.
What?
The round guy.
I'm not following.
Because when you're creating that town, you had to go find this round guy in the volcanic region.
I mean,
I call those Humpty Dumpty.
Technically, you have to look for people whose names end in sun.
Right.
And then you build a small town in Zelda.
Their names end in sun.
I think it's sun. Yeah.
But my name is Sun.
Okay, let's get back to the topic.
So
that moment of fate.
So that Breath of the Wild side quest is one of my favorite side quests in the game, because there's a sense of progression as you do the side quest. You see the town becoming bigger. There's more people. They're adding shops. There's an inn. So that Witcher quest is sort of taking up most of my time right now because I want to see the statue, this 50-foot tall statue being built, and you can see it, like anywhere, wherever you are on the map, you see this huge statue in the distance, and you can look at it and say, "Hey, I helped build that statue."
But I'm thinking more like the bees or whatever. They're like having a good time, and it's like a environmental hazard. Like they're just enjoying their sun, and it's like blocking their sun now. They're like,
Sun again.
sun.
Right. Enough with that.
But there is one thing that I don't like about Witcher is because I get easily frustrated when I can't find things. And sometimes when I use that Witcher ability,
The Witcher sense.
it shows in like red where you
Right.
should look.
Red
And
is like important.
right, and there's like this magnifying glass where you should look.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't find that, and like there's this on the map you're able to see this circle where you're supposed to look, and I'm like I'm looking, and I can't find it, and I get really frustrated
It does get.
sometimes because it's not. I can't see it. Like the Witcher sense is not powerful enough. I can't see it.
Wait, does that have a problem? Let's say like the magnifying glass is on top of a cave, right? Then
It's usually on top of like a certain like a blood stain.
Like blood stain
or
or like a claw mark.
Like a claw mark or
And
something.
but I do like what I do like about Witcher is because ever since I was little, I did like hearing like stories being talked back to me. So what I do like about Witcher is when you read those claw marks, it's like it's not very deep.
Yeah,
It's only
exactly.
been 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days or like.
So I do like that, but in order to hear that, I need to find it. But sometimes I can't find it. Some people might say, no, get good. But still.
I did go through those problems. Like I would just like walk around the whole area, just trying to look for
Right? That circle. Like,
to just like get to the next quest marker.
right. Like, you're supposed to find it, but you can't find it. And then you look up guides.
Well, I didn't.
Oh.
I just like.
Well, I don't either. I don't. I just...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking up guides.
oh, hot tip.
Okay.
You can press Shift Tab if you're playing on Steam. You can access a web browser, and then you can look up special guides to
I mean,
your quest.
there's nothing wrong with looking up guides for games. Like I've looked up guides for games countless times in other games too. It's whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
it's better than being stuck and you stop playing the game.
true.
The good old days of reading physical manuals to get over obstacles.
Gotta go back.
I mean, now because of smartphone, you can just look up a guide literally anytime when you're playing.
Those dark days are over.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my experience so far playing Witcher 3. And I want to make another point that in the base game of Witcher 3, it's very like depressing and dreary, right? Like because you're
it's
in
very dark.
a war-ravaged sort of country or region.
And whatever you're doing, you're being chased by someone.
Yeah, but like I'm just talking about like the general mood of the area.
Right.
Like-
Okay.
Like people are like poor, they're hungry. All the towns are like run down and depressing.
Right.
But like Toussaint is like this southern area where it's full of sunlight and like vineyards and flowers and
Lively.
liveliness and happy people. So it's a more pleasant experience playing the expansion over the base game.
Okay.
So it does make things easier to get through because you're not always feeling depressed, seeing people dying all the time, you know, and like the main city as well is this incredibly like beautiful city, and like you see this huge castle in the distance, and I feel like it's a very well-made map. I feel like there's a lot of personality in the game itself, and especially the region of Toussaint. So it does make exploring things more fulfilling, I guess you could say.
It's surprising that Witcher 3 and the things you've been playing are a DLC.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely new game.
Mm-hmm. It is surprising how much you can do in this game.
So
It
it's,
is.
It's a shining example of how DLC should be worth
Yeah.
every buck.
I mean, it is an expansion, so it is more than a DLC, I guess. But I mean, there's a reason why CD Projekt Red, the developers of Witcher 3, there's a reason why they're heralded as like one of the great developers of our time.
Ooh,
Right.
cyberpunk. For that.
2020.
Okay, so that's it for game impressions, and we'll take a short break, and we'll be back to you in a few seconds for you, I guess, but for us, you know.
We'll just chill.
Okay. And we're we're back from our break.
That was a good break.
It
I
was
needed that.
Pretty good break time. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the news, gaming news for the week.
So what is the big news
So let's open up with the big event Microsoft held the past few days
in London?
in London. Yes, and they've announced quite a few things that sort of piqued our interest. And the event is called XO19, I believe.
Yep.
So, what piques your interest about the list of games that they've announced, or the list of stuff that they've announced?
Well, they have a lot of games over here, but there is one game that piques my interest. Not because it's a great game, but it's kind of because it brings me back to my childhood, and that is Kart Rider Drift.
I was actually surprised that this was announced in a sort of US-based gaming console.
I actually didn't think I would ever see this game again because I haven't seen this game in roughly 6 years.
But people still do play this game in Korea,
People
Yeah,
right?
they
play,
do
but
those
when-
oddballs every now and then.
Right, but when you go to like PC cafes, which is for those Western viewers, it's a place where we guys kind of go and play computer games together. A lot of people play Overwatch, Dota, League of Legends, but
Battleground.
right, Battleground, but you don't see a lot of people play Kart Rider.
Right.
So it was a thing of the past. So when I saw it, I was like, man, it's making a comeback.
It is interesting, of all games, why Kart Rider?
I mean, there's so many different kart games, and then they had to choose a Kart Rider. I mean, it's a good choice because I used to play it a lot. Kart Rider goes hand in hand with a game called Crazy Arcade. If any of you have heard of it, it's a very Korean game. If you haven't heard of it, you're not Korean.
So I've heard of those games, but I've never actually played any of those games. What do you guys think of?
So if you have to know, Kart Rider, Crazy Arcade, all these games are only what true Koreans play.
It's kind of like
I mean, I played StarCraft.
But that's like one of the rite of passages. So
You need all three.
yeah.
Okay, so all three to be considered true Korean.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
looks like I have some. I have to go to PC Cafe after this recording
Yeah,
session.
he
is
will.
done.
He will. Don't worry.
So, do you have like good memories of Kart Rider, or just like
There was not a lot of kart games back then, especially in Korea. And what was very famous and what a lot of people were playing were Kart Rider and Crazy Arcade. And I still remember it was all about water balloons. It wasn't very violent. There were some bombs involved, but it was very kid friendly.
right?
Yeah, it's very much like a Korean version of Mario Kart.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you can play a multiplayer
Yeah.
continuously
I mean,
over and over.
Mario Kart wasn't that big in Korea. Like you wouldn't find people in PC rooms playing Mario
Yeah,
Kart.
I mean, Mario Kart. One reason is because Mario Kart isn't available on PC.
Gotcha. See?
But Mario Kart is the king of kart games,
Yeah.
like in the world.
I mean, now it is because of all the Switch consoles and all that. But back in the day, Kart Rider was the
sure.
go-to racing game.
I mean, but we're talking about the world. In the world, Mario Kart is king.
yeah, but we're Koreans.
Okay. Anyway, apparently this game is coming out 2020, first on Xbox.
Oh, but I still won't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have an Xbox, so
True that. So if you guys can send us one, maybe we'll play it. But
yeah. But 2020, first on Xbox. It's just surprising because it's a game that we Koreans know a lot, or very familiar with.
even in the description, it does say a Korean game.
Yeah,
So
like Nexon.
if you guys
yeah.
are looking for a new kart game, check it out.
Yeah, so it is interesting. And I want to talk about Yakuza. So,
The Japanese mafia.
yeah. So Microsoft announced that Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1, and Yakuza Kiwami 2 are coming to Game Pass, which is their subscription-based service, which is like you pay a certain amount of money per month and you get access to all these games. It's not streaming. You just get to download and play them. And this has been a long time coming because Yakuza has been such a big, well, not in the West, but in Japan, it's one of the biggest franchises that in gaming. So Yakuza has always been a PlayStation game. Like when people think of Yakuza, it's for PlayStation. And now Microsoft finally gets to play it. For people who are unfamiliar with the game of Yakuza, a lot of people say GTA Japanese version, which is kinda true, but
no, kind of.
I mean, it is an open world game. But
Not
you,
that open.
And it is a little violent in a way because
I
you're
mean,
a gangster. You're a gangster.
sure.
You're not gonna be like, "Hey, let's talk this out," right?
I mean, GTA is like the ultimate of violence.
I mean, you can knock people out of cars.
Yeah.
So
But Yakuza is sort of this. You play as a former Yakuza who is trying to live the good life, but he keeps getting pulled back into the dark underworld of Japanese mafia life.
I mean, you know what they say: once you're a mafia, you're always a mafia.
Right. Yeah, I mean they do say that.
I'm part of a gang. Where do you see that, Mark?
It's like a Chinese mafia.
Watch your back.
So just basically open world game. You play as a mafia and you can do like you can sing karaoke's. You can like go to batting cages and all these weird mini games. It's a very open world game. But this game is one of my most favorite franchises. And Yakuza 0 is actually a prequel to the whole Yakuza series. So it's a very good starting point for people who want to get into Yakuza.
Like how it all came to be, basically.
Yeah, so yeah, because like Yakuza 0 came out 3 years ago, I believe. And it's it's like the origin story of the main character. And I think it's good that they bought Yakuza 0. Yakuza Kiwami 1 is a remake of Yakuza 1. Because Yakuza 1 came out for the PS1. And Yakuza Kiwami 2 is also a complete remake of Yakuza 2. So, excuse me, they remake the game from the ground up with modern graphics. And the gameplay also sort of changed. And the stories, they also added CGI cutscenes and changed the story.
Although I don't have an Xbox, I've heard a lot about Yakuza. It's also on the PC, if I recall.
It came out recently on the PC.
On the
Right.
on the
Yeah.
Steam
Right.
store.
So I saw it on the
basically.
Steam store. I saw it go on sales a few times, but I've never tried it. I did hear a lot of praise coming from you.
It is. It's a good
Since
game.
you have a PS
4.
Yeah, PS4. So I do want to play it. Sadly, I don't have an Xbox. Maybe next year I'll buy a PS5.
And I could,
Yeah, and then we can share.
share games.
Yeah.
So another sort of big announcement is that Obsidian finally revealed their Microsoft Studio game. So Obsidian, the developers of Fallout New Vegas and Outer Wilds, which came out fairly
Not
recently.
Wilds, Worlds.
Right, Outer World. Outer Worlds is another game called
Whoa.
Outer Worlds.
Almost made a next update for the next episode, but I corrected
That was a
it.
close one.
Yeah, thank you. But for those, Microsoft bought Obsidian a year ago, I believe, and now we can see the fruits of their labor. So now we can see the end result of their purchase of the studio. So we've seen the trailer for this game called Grounded. What do you guys think?
Looks very. I think it's a unique twist to like an open world
Okay,
sandbox
before we get
game.
into that, we'll just sort of tell the viewer what actually the game is about.
It's a very down to earth game. They've got the foundation grounded.
Yeah. So basically, the game's like your kids who shrunk.
Not, I don't know, maybe adults that
maybe,
shrunk.
I don't know. They look like kids to me in the trailer.
At least in the trailer, we don't know what happened, but it looks like the world is kind of abandoned. We never saw any other humans except you're this really tiny boy who's traversing the world of.
I mean, but like,
No, it's just many people
Yeah.
in a garden.
yeah, like in a backyard of a house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea of the game is like, I don't know how they shrunk. Maybe they'll explain that in the game itself.
Yeah.
But from what we see, it just your 4 kids or adults. I don't know. They look like kids to me.
I thought they were kids.
Who've shrunk.
Maybe they're just a baby
Yeah,
faces.
who've shrunk in size, and they're like exploring their own like backyard. So like the opening shots, they show like a baseball on the ground. It's like this huge
Right.
thing.
What I was saying was that you don't meet any other giants. Is what I was talking about. Like
Humans,
like,
you mean-
like,
yeah.
like
Normal
humans.
size
normal size
giants.
humans. You don't meet any normal size
Yeah.
humans. So everyone's kind of like, as you mentioned, the other people are also shrunk,
Yeah,
and the bugs are sometimes bigger than you.
because you shrunk.
They're all bigger than you.
Yeah, they're all bigger. So what I do like about this game was it's a very interesting concept. I'm actually surprised there's not a lot of games that are based around bugs, because when I was little, I watched a lot of bug movies.
Life,
Life,
Bugs Life,
Bugs
Ants.
Life,
And
Ants.
Ant Z. I think it's called Ant. Ant C, isn't it?
Just
No, it's
ants.
ants. It's
Yeah,
just
but
ants.
then
Called
you
ants?
it has a Z at the end.
Yeah,
you just
it's
pronounce
ants.
you add the Z sound at
right.
the end.
And I do like a lot of bugs, and the fact that this kind of has that feel to it, where perhaps you can make some friends with bugs. I'm not sure.
I read about the game, and it is quite interesting because apparently they have like this whole sort of like ecosystem dynamic in it. So like for example, ladybugs eat this certain bug, and if you kill all those bugs that the ladybugs eat,
Then the ladybugs will die.
will die out. And then if the ladybugs die out, it'll like sort of like upset the balance of the ecosystem. And they said that you can actually make certain bugs go completely extinct.
Ooh.
So you actually have an impact in the world around you
Exactly.
based on your decisions that you
Right.
make.
But I
And
like
then-
the fresh take on this game. It's like showing a new world, a new perspective. I think this is like the first game where you're a mini. I mean, it's not the first game, but it's like you're a mini human. And when you're in your back garden, you're usually the giant. You're usually the one stomping on ants. But this time, the ants are the giants.
I mean, they're not giants. There's like
They're just normal size.
like
I mean, they're the
mean-
size of tigers now. So I mean, they're kind of menacing.
I mean, but we have to remember the ants aren't giant. The humans just shrunk. I think we keep mentioning that the humans shrunk.
I mean, in
over
the
and over.
perspective of the shrunken
Yeah,
humans,
right.
the ants are giants.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that for those of you who really hate insects, this is a game to stay away from.
But it does look cartoony enough where maybe it won't be that big
I had
of
a
a deal.
friend who was really afraid of spiders, and what World of Warcraft spiders don't even look real spiders. He used to scream when he looked at spiders.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for those of you who are
Like
you
have
know,
a phobia.
have
of
a
like,
phobia of bugs, this game is full of it. So stay away.
It's bugs everywhere.
It's bugs everywhere. Not the bad bugs, but like not the game
Yeah.
bugs, but
But in the trailer, they also showed a building system, right?
oh
Like it's like you can build a
Yeah,
base.
so it's like a MMO, or like open world and sandbox
yeah.
mixed in as well. So you can
Then-
build a
and
shelter,
you can, like, build
survive.
shelters and
Yeah.
like build like a fireplace, and it's quite interesting.
it's got an interesting concept. It has a lot of different genres mixed into it, so I'm not really sure if it's just survival or if there is a long-term goal. If it actually is it possible to go multiplayer maybe?
I think that's
It is a
the-
multiplayer,
right?
I think
yes.
that's what they're trying to do.
So not multiplayer in that you cooperate with each other, but you can actually like
like camps of different humans
right
waging
like,
war against each
waging
other.
war wow, and then you can like tame ants and you can ride on ants.
They did talk about that they're not sure, but they are trying to implement sort of like a animal, well not animal,
Like
bug taming
domestic
yeah,
system, right.
domestic system.
Right,
You
so
tame
that's-
animals.
that's
I
what-
mean bugs.
What I'm getting to is because I love building. You know how many hours I put into Rust? I put
Mhm.
1,000 hours.
Too many
into Rust.
hours.
Too many to count.
One too many.
Too many sleepless nights. If a thing like that was possible in a game like this, I would be totally in. 1,000 hours, I bet you, I'll be there.
And the content possibility is endless. You know
Yeah.
why? The end game boss could be a human, an actual normal sized human. That would be insane.
It's like a raid.
You got to have a lot of ants.
A world boss. That would be pretty fun.
Okay.
I would play that.
Maybe
just for
we're
that.
getting too far in our speculations, but that's our suggestions maybe.
Yeah. Is there anything else from this event you want to talk about?
I think Halo. They're gonna release
yeah.
the Halo bundle, the collection in December, which
but-
I did find was pretty great for people who has PC. 'Cause it was always the latest iterations were like Halo Reach, Halo
Yeah.
3.
But I
They
think
were-
like the Master Chief collection did come out a while ago.
Mhm.
But I think the idea is they're adding another game to the collection.
Oh, which one is that?
Halo Reach.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why I think like every PC player should be very excited for this, because let's say you didn't get to play Halo 3 back at its peak, but now you get to play it.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't played
I
it.
think it's like Halo 1, 2, 3, and Halo Reach is like sort of. Was it considered like the sequel to Halo 3, but like a sort of spin-off sequel?
Yeah, like it's based on the Spartans.
I
like
think so,
on,
yeah,
like, not
yeah.
not on the Master Chief.
Yeah, I
and
do
stuff.
remember
Yep.
something like that. I'm not really that into Halo, so
Yeah, I was never really into
Yeah.
Halo.
but it's sort of I guess a
But
plus.
some people
Yeah.
may be into Halo.
So I guess if you have the collection, you only need to pay $10 to get Halo Reach, but
That's a good deal.
for $40 you can get the full collection,
Ooh.
Right.
which is pretty good.
I mean,
Very
$40
good.
is like,
it's $40 is not that bad
Yeah.
for a game of that size.
and anything else you guys want to talk about?
I think there was Sea of Thieves, wasn't there?
Yeah, they
Sea
announced
of
like a new
Thieves.
update, but like I don't know, we're not really into Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't really into Sea of Thieves. Maybe
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, but Kingdom Hearts is pretty big, to be
Oh, yeah.
honest.
That's true, because they did add Kingdom Hearts. Is kind of weird because Kingdom Hearts 3 is on Xbox One, but you can't play any of the previous Kingdom Hearts games on
Right.
the Xbox.
But
so
now
you can.
finally,
Yeah.
it's heading to the Xbox One. It's a little weird why all the predecessors weren't.
Well,
able
that's
to-
because Kingdom Hearts used to be a PlayStation exclusive game.
Okay.
So before, you could only play Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation. Like, any other console, you couldn't play it. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually the first ever mainline Kingdom Hearts game to be played on a non-PlayStation console.
Have you played Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts. I actually bought the Story So Far collection, which has all the Kingdom Hearts game except for 3 into 2 discs. And I've been trying to go through it. Maybe I'll have
Maybe
an
this is your
impression
chance.
impression of it fairly soon.
Yeah.
But for now, let's move on to the next topic to discuss. So tomorrow, as of recording, is the launch of Google Stadia.
The new live streaming game.
To the surprise of many, because I don't think many people were.
Yeah, a lot of
aware?
people weren't too
It's
into.
not there. People don't know about Google Stadia.
Because the hype is not there.
I think when Google Stadia was first announced, people were kind of like, okay, like Google is doing something with gaming. And I think the initial reaction used to be like, if anyone could make a streaming service for games, the Google would be the most apt company to do this, right?
Yeah, because Google already has a decent cloud system. They've been implementing it in their Gmail as well. So I also thought if anyone could do it, it would be a big company like Google.
Right. But
But they haven't given us a lot of updates. A lot of the updates they did give us was very vague. It was not informative. There wasn't a lot of things that we could be excited about. And even a week ago, a lot of the things they expressed was that a lot of people were expressing disappointment in the fact that there weren't a lot of things being given on the first day of launch.
like
Yeah.
the features that they promised
Right, the
weren't
features.
launching with the service.
Yeah, but before the features, I think we should really talk about like the limited games that were supposed to be released on day one. But like today, wasn't there more games being announced?
Yeah, like today or yesterday, they've suddenly increased the number of launch titles from 12 to 22.
22.
So they added
22,
10 games.
which is
Figures,
significant number.
But it figures because they can't add into the features, so they're adding a little something.
I guess it's just their way of trying to like sort of alleviate the bad press they've been getting.
right.
Yeah, our
with
service
Stadia.
is more capable of like having all these other
But with
AAA
these 10
title
games,
games.
I do think it's pretty good.
Yeah, some notable ones would be like Metro Exodus, Rage 2, and I mean,
Wolfenstein, Youngblood, Attack on Titan. I haven't played Attack on Titan. Farming Simulator. That's for me. I'm a farmer. I
Football
love
Manager
farming.
2020.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty big.
Ah.
That's a big launch title.
Yeah.
It's-
There's also something I also play right now. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's
Right.
it's a big game. Destiny 2. I haven't played Destiny 2. I'm gonna get into it.
I mean, that's free. That's free now.
And the best of all, Just Dance.
The thing that confuses me about Stadia is like I'm not exactly sure who it's for. Like, it's not for casual gamers because if you look at the list of games that they're launching with, those aren't casual games. Unless I guess NBA 2K20 is a casual game.
I mean, Farming Simulator is a very casual game.
Oh,
Whoa.
okay.
You can
You can get-
play with your
you
mom
can-
and dad.
You can get pretty hardcore with Farming
Like
Simulator.
looking at the list of games, the only quote unquote casual game I see is Just Dance 2020. But like, so clearly they're not aiming for casual gamers because if they were, they would have way more games.
Casual friendly game.
Yes, but like games like Odyssey, not casual. Well, not casual for like non-gamers, I guess. Red Dead Redemption 2, Tomb Raider, Samurai Showdown, which is a very hard, difficult fighting game.
Yep.
Mortal Kombat 11. So like, if they're not going for casual, I guess they're going for the hardcore. But like, why would you? What reason would the hardcore gamer have to sign up for the service?
For a gamer like me, I wouldn't consider myself a hardcore gamer. I would
Right.
consider myself a casual
Yeah.
in a lot of aspects. But
I think it'd be like mid between casual and hardcore.
Right. But I wouldn't think about buying Stadia is because there's so many features that are lacking, at least in the first initial launch. One of the things I did not like was what I've envisioned Stadia would be. It was around family-oriented games. But judging by the games that are shown, I'm not going to be playing with my mom Mortal Kombat.
Right.
I mean, you could, but you might be in trouble.
if I beat her, I'm not going to have dinner. So it's not going to happen. A lot of the games, as you mentioned, it's usually a little more catered towards hardcore gamers. So I was a little confused as well. But at the same time, a lot of the things like Buddy Pass is not going to be available. So I was like, okay.
So explain what Buddy Pass is.
Buddy Pass is where you're able to have a trial. You're able to give a trial to a friend. When you buy yourself a subscription, you're able to give something for a friend, and you're able to purchase it together. But the thing about that is that when I buy Stadia, I usually want to be in a home environment, home console, and play with other people. But if I want to play with other people, I not only have to buy it for myself, but I also have to buy it for the other person.
Right. So like apparently there's a system called Family Link.
Right. But it's not available.
It's not available on launch, which is
Family Link is not available.
to me that's like the most obvious, like craziest thing to miss for their launch
because it was their key selling point. They were the one that's
like for any streaming service that would be a key selling point.
I mean, it's gonna
like,
be.
Can you imagine if you got Netflix, or for like, if your mom wanted to use Netflix, you had to pay another subscription
because it's gonna be on Chromecast, right?
That's the idea,
right? And then that's supposed to be on your TV. So I was thinking if it's gonna be on TV, unless I have 4 TVs at home, I'm gonna be playing with other people.
Yes.
So I got confused was because each person has to buy the game. So if I want to play, for example, Mortal Kombat, I can't just have a family linked account.
Yeah, you need to buy the game multiple times.
I'm going to have to buy for my mom. I'm going to have to buy for my dad. I'm going to have to buy for my sister and me. That's 4 times. So it's it's standing on shaky ground right now.
Yeah, but Google did say it would come sometime in 2020.
Yeah, the current problem with Stadia right now is that Google is they're just releasing half-baked product. And even all these features that they'll say they're going to release, there's no specific date. They're just saying it will come in time, one day.
I think this just shows how difficult it is to make a service like this.
If
Google's having this much trouble, like, would it be easier for any other company?
But what I don't get, it might be because I'm more ignorant in terms of what they're dealing with. They might be having much more bigger problems than
maybe behind the scenes they're having lots of problems.
Right. But what I'm guessing is that a lot of the companies aren't able to catch up to Google's state of Stadia right now. They're in the vanguard in this aspect. So why are they rushing things? I think if they kind of just lay back, pull the launch date back, and have all those things available on launch day, people are going to be more hyped about it. For example, just imagine if you have Buddy Pass, if you have Family Link, all these together, it's going to be much more better than just having all these individual games.
Exactly. And like, there have been a lot of skeptics of Google Stadia, and this just proves their point even more. The fact that their launch is tomorrow, and we don't know what's going on exactly with their features.
And the biggest problem I have with Google Stadia is that it's not like it's a platform in which, like YouTube, you're able to try it out like on free. And then you can see, okay, I like this product, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to go to YouTube Premium. It's not like that. It's in order to use it, you need to buy the product first. So there's a price to entry.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm not getting, is because since there's a price to entry, it should have a certain standard in which it should uphold.
I think Google is just trying to be the first to the market.
It's like they're trying to do a first mover advantage, but like a lot of the other projects they had, like Google Fiber, and what was it, like Google Glasses. They're always trying to release an innovative vision product, but it's always unplanned. It's just so half-baked sometimes. They don't really have a long-term plan or a short-term plan to really give it to the market, basically. Like, I mean, there's a good example, like what was it, Google Plus? Now how everyone was forced to use it. It has so many different innovative features, but no one to use it.
Google Glass is another product that they've sort of built up the hype and then
Just died.
like we don't know what happened to it. Where's Google Glass?
It's somewhere.
They're watching you.
Oh, you have it? Okay.
It's just I don't know why they're hurrying so much. I mean, you're still the
Yeah.
first
I
in the
mean,
market,
PlayStation and Xbox do have streaming services,
but it's
but-
a little different.
It's like a different feature. It's just like
but like
any.
it's not
like,
as apparently there's still a lot of like issues with streaming. And I think Google is saying that we're the first to actually offer a game streaming service that feels like you're actually playing a downloaded game, I guess, is their marketing or the point of their service. So we'll actually have to see how it performs on launch day.
I'm pretty sure Google's gonna just carry on with this promise, and it's gonna over time it's gonna deliver on its
Yeah,
promise.
it's gonna get better because it's like a new market they're tapping into. They're very
Right.
unfamiliar
Yeah.
with
But
how to
what do you guys
approach
think about
things.
the future of streaming? Do you think it's viable or
At the time being, just the fact that I'm living in Korea and our internet speed is really fast, I do think what people are getting into and what Google is getting into is convenience. But for me at least, I don't really feel the need for convenience. For example, because like Odyssey, it's a big game, they offer it. I can play it, but what I'm wondering is if I connect on that stream, is it gonna be faster than is it if it's downloaded on my on my computer itself? Is it gonna be faster? Also, what's gonna happen if my internet cuts off?
right? I mean, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, whoops! I guess I can't play anymore.
Because technically, if my computer's internet cut off, I can still play Odyssey.
'Cause
It's because
downloaded-
it's downloaded on my computer. So
Yeah.
there is that difference of, am I going to have a stable connection? And what about people who live in unstable connecting areas? For me, it's not a problem because Korea has one of the fastest internets. And that leads to another point, which is my download speeds aren't that slow. I mean, you guys should know as well that Korea's download speed of games, it usually takes an hour. If it takes a longer, you kind of leave it overnight.
Right.
So, I do feel like it's not a little for me, or they should at least provide a little more convenience that I feel like I need. But at the moment, I don't.
How about you, Kevin?
I think like any new market, like currently right now Google's trying to release the whole live streaming thing. I definitely think this will work. It's just that Google needs to plan out what they're gonna do, how they're gonna roll out these features without the audience getting frustrated. They don't know what's going on. Basically, they need to have their target customers know what they're offering, and if they do somehow get it out there and people are the ease of access, right? If they're able to go, oh hey, I can just turn on Google Stadia and just start playing Red Dead Redemption, and maybe even the whole live streaming thing. Maybe it's just it's streaming, but maybe you can kind of play offline. So it's like all these features they are just offering. You just don't know what it is. They just need to be more clearer on what they're doing.
I think the biggest hurdle that streaming in general has to overcome is just the fact that not everyone is going to have good internet speeds.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's like biggest, because like when it comes to like videos like Netflix, if you have a decent internet speed,
It'll work.
it'll work.
It's like YouTube.
But for like streaming a game,
Oh my goodness,
You need, like-
Like I mean, it's fine for like Japan, like
Yeah,
Korea,
Korea.
or I mean China, kind like certain metropolitan areas.
China is a little slow on the internet uptake. but
Singapore, Sweden.
Usually, Asian countries are a little better off.
but like even in the States, which is like heralded as this huge advanced country, internet speeds aren't that fast in the States. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of
how's
people
little
come to
Bobby in
Korea.
the farm fields
I mean,
gonna
we
play Google
have
Stadia?
Wi-Fi coverage almost everywhere in
Yeah.
Korea, so that says something. I do think if it was marketed towards the Korean market, it will have a big impact. Is because that can actually become a portable system.
right? You can play.
Right, we can just
Games
have
anywhere.
right. It can technically become what you can play anywhere. But in the States now, that would be a different story.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the States, data support isn't even like countrywide.
Right. It's not like you can have Wi-Fi. I mean, we can connect Wi-Fi anywhere.
Yeah.
We can go to the cafe. We can go just on the
Not
subway.
even just Wi-Fi, just data
Right.
in general.
Data in general, we're all covered.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think in Korea it will be pretty good. But at the same time, in places where there's not a lot of internet connection, we don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time, I think Google needs to figure out what market they're going to
Yeah.
choose? Like, is it gonna be portable? Is it gonna be like
A ho-
hardcore gamers?
home console.
Is it gonna be a home console? Who is the audience for? Because even as the potential consumer, I'm confused.
They're just throwing it out there. Okay, let's just see what happens.
You guys figure it out, right?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. It's launching literally tomorrow. So I am curious to see sort of impressions because I'm sure a lot of people will come out with impressions over the next few days and see how fast it is, whether it's reliable, latency issues, how's the games. But yeah, it does. It's something to look out for.
Hmm.
I'm worried, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on to let's talk about Death Stranding. And not just about Death Stranding, but what it means for the industry in general. So for people who are not familiar with Death Stranding, this is Hideo Kojima's latest game. And Kojima is known as his auteur. He's like sort of this visionary director who developed Metal Gear Solid, one of the most critically acclaimed series of all time. And he got kicked out of Konami. And Sony sort of signed him up and said, hey, make a game for us. And they funded his game. They've lent him their engine. And now the game finally came out. And it's a very weird game.
It's getting a lot of mixed reviews from everyone.
I mean, yeah, its reviews tend to be positive, but it is not for everyone because as we see with like general impressions by people, because the game is basically FedEx. You're like a delivery worker. It's like FedEx Simulator,
But a little bit more dangerous.
I just. What if you were actually a FedEx worker and you come home and you play Death Stranding?
Stranding.
It's like an extension of your work.
Yeah, because
It's like, oh, let's play, and like you're like,
because I guess you just deliver packages. That's all you do. And
I mean, there's more to it.
of course,
But
like
that's the
But the main gist of
yeah,
it.
is delivering packages
Yeah.
and maintaining.
I mean,
your
there's
weight.
like the social aspect that people sort of commend. Like, if you build a bridge, that, and then you use that bridge, other people can use that bridge too, and they can like your bridge. You could build a road, like you could build a highway for like a few hundred meters, and then someone else could come and they're like, okay, maybe I'll finish this. So it's like there are a lot of those like organic sort of social constructions and social like interactivity.
I heard you can't get too attached to your ride, like your car, your.
Oh, I think the
Your-
only
your
vehicle is
bike.
like the bike.
I think
Yeah.
you get a truck later on.
Do you? I have no idea.
I have no idea, but I did hear you get an
I mean,
assortment.
I'm trying not to sort of read up too much on the game because I do want to play it with fresh eyes.
Right.
Because I am going to buy this game because I love Kojima.
But at the same time, there are those social things where people put like ladders, and you can use those ladders, right? A lot of people do say some people troll you and put ladders in like weird places. So you have to look at the likes. If this has like
It's
three
like
likes,
these ladders are going to like a cliff.
yeah, it's like, if it has 3 likes, it has 3 likes for a reason.
Right. So, but the thing that interests me about Death Stranding isn't really the game itself, but I do want to play the game, and I find the game really, really super interesting. But what I'm more interested in is the idea of a big budget AAA game being this niche, I guess you could say.
Very creative.
Yeah, creative and very niche. Like this isn't the type of game that's meant to sell tens and millions of copies, right?
I think it's allowing more creativity into the industry instead of like a generic everyday AAA title game you expect. I think that's why Death Stranding is like a mixed review. But I mean, it's more
Yeah.
positive claim.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yet again, it's
But-
like Metal Gear Solid. Like the first one came out, I'm sure people were
I
maybe
mean,
a little
Metal Gear
bit.
Solid 1 was just heralded as one of the greatest games of all time when it first came out.
Oh, but you do have to know. Back in the day, they were more like just hardcore gamers. Like they were like just more like a certain audience. But now there's so many different kinds of audiences,
I mean,
casual
sure, that's
gamers,
true.
etc.
Gaming audiences have grown so much. The market has grown so
Yep.
much. But like, I think this is one of those games where even if you don't like the game,
So you just want to play it, right?
no, but like it's a game where you're happy it exists because it shows that there are still companies that are willing to take risks.
I just, when I look at this game, I don't know what to feel. Because when I've looked at gameplays, and the character looks very interesting. The story itself looks very interesting, but it's you're trying to find the interesting in the mundane aspects of life. And when you're trying to do that, you tend to appreciate the little things. And I think that's what this game kind of makes you do. And the fact that this game exists, it doesn't follow the trend of, for example, like World War II or something like that, where people know a lot of people like. But he's making a game and taking a risk in that he knows some people are not going to like it. He knows the critics are, sometimes some of the critics are going to hate upon it. But I think it just makes it seem that the future of the industry is bright. With games like this involved, I think the next game after this one is going to be much better than what it is now.
Yeah. And even I think the news came out that Death Stranding is like the best-selling new IP in Japan. So it's actually selling quite a bit of copies. I think most of it's from like curiosity, like what the heck this game is. But we'll see if it has legs, like if it'll continue to sell well. But
you know what's very interesting is a lot of the media and a lot of for example, if a TV series is very successful, for example, the TV series is about firefighters, then a lot of kids aspire to be firefighters. What I'm curious about is if this will aspire Japanese citizens to be FedEx people.
Delivery workers.
Right, delivery workers.
Delivering stuff is cool.
Right.
Now.
And then when you interview them, you're like, oh, I played this game. I wanted to be a FedEx worker.
That's what I knew.
That's what I knew. I wanted to balance the weights.
But hopefully this game sort of shows that not every game has to be a shooter. Because did you hear Kojima's comments recently regarding the mixed reactions in America?
What was it?
He was like, that's because Americans, they love shooters, and Death Stranding isn't a typical shooter.
I mean, you're not even Death Stranding. It doesn't even give you it doesn't give you a gun, assault rifle, until late in the game. Do you know that?
Sure. I mean, I've seen trailers where they shoot guns,
Okay.
but like,
I can feel like the mixed emotion, and then he's like, ooh, he's like all these spoilers, like, oh,
Okay.
jeez.
You get these non-harming guns,
Yeah,
non-lethal guns.
Nerf guns. You just
don't
shoot
go
Nerf
too much
guns, huh?
into the details.
Ooh,
But
okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, it's fun, I guess. I'm really curious. This is one of those games where I just want to know what everyone thinks about it.
No, I think the key selling point here is it's truly original. Like no other games like has come out so far has like really piqued so many people's interest. It's so original. It's like one of a kind, I think.
interest and hate.
Yeah, interest, which is weird. I feel like it's kind of weird to hate on this game because if the game isn't for you, just ignore it. You know, you don't have to hate on it.
I think, but still, a lot of people had a lot of expectations,
Right.
and hype because it is Kojima.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. People are not gonna like it. Haters gonna be haters. I'm gonna be one of the haters. I don't like this game.
So you're gonna hate the game?
No, I just
Yeah.
don't like the game.
So, but
I don't like the concept.
That doesn't make you a hater, though.
Yeah, but I'm probably gonna play it because you're gonna get it, and I'm gonna borrow it because I'm gonna get a PS5. But I'm not really sure if I'm gonna like it. Who knows? Maybe I'm gonna like it. Maybe I want to aspire to be a FedEx agent.
Right.
But that's future will tell.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that's it for this week's episode. I mean, we did talk quite a bit about.
Quite a fair bit about
Definitely.
different things.
So does anyone? Let's have like a closing statement from one member per week, and we'll start it today. You know, just for the heck of it. Why not?
Okay. Who wants to go first?
How about you, June? Why don't you go first?
Yeah, you seem the most excited today.
Yeah.
So how about you?
Fine.
Just like, so, any final word on any of the topics that we had, or
Like a life tip,
like a tip, or like a final say?
Work hard and play harder. 再见，大家。
Goodbye, everyone.